Russia, Russia, Russia hoax, all of the different hoaxes, and we won every single one of them. The most important thing,
diminished. What do you make of Nikki Haley's position on this?
One of the most disingenuous talking points that I've seen from the mainstream media, not just the Fox propaganda outlet, but the media at large, is that Kamala Harris hasn't answered enough questions on the campaign trail. This assertion that she hasn't given enough concrete details, shared enough specifics about her policy, about her agenda, to me is just ridiculous. And especially when you contrast it with Donald Trump, someone completely incapable of answering any sort of question, much less a policy question. We saw that earlier this week when Donald Trump was asked about childcare, and he rambled for 2 minutes about tariff, something he clearly doesn't understand, and just kept saying, we'll have such great numbers. And so for the media to accuse KLA Harris of not answering enough questions is ridiculous. Especially, like I said, when we look at how Donald Trump answers questions, they shouldn't count as answers. We shouldn't give him credit just because he responds when his responses are so unhinged. And that is exactly what happened at the Fox News town hall that Donald Trump held earlier this week, and Fox finally released some more snippets, some extra video of the questions that Donald Trump was asked, and when he was confronted about what he has changed about himself, or what he's learned to entice Republicans or really any voters to cast their ballot for him, he really just unraveled and couldn't answer the question as is expected. And I want to get into that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, it goes a long way in support reporting what we're doing now. Let's get into this clip.
What could you share that you've learned during the first time being in the Oval Office for those who are hesitant to vote for you now?
So we need a strong president. And, you know, I actually think we had a very stable administration, but we were hit with this weaponization. We were hit to weaponize. They've never done this before. The weaponization, all of the different...
Right? I gotta stop the clip right there before we go any further. Is Donald Trump accusing himself of weaponizing the government against himself? He's saying that there was government weaponization, probably referring to the DOJ, that he is saying that President Biden and I guess now Vice President Kamala Harris is using to attack him politically. He's saying that while he was president, he was doing that, or Mike Pence was doing that, or the deep state was doing that. Just absolutely ridiculous. And again, these are the type of answers that Donald Trump gives that the media just treats as normal when it's not and should be called out as such. But this response or really this non-response that Trump gave continued to get weirder when he said this right here.
Russia, Russia, Russia hoax, all of the different hoaxes, and we won every single one of them. The most important thing, and I found it, and you could say this is true in business also, we have to get the right people. When I first went there, 2016, I had a lot of good people, I had a lot of good advice, but I put people in that in some cases were not what I really wanted, because I didn't know much about Washington. I was there 17 times in my whole life, and I wasn't in D.C. very much, but I got to know them, and I got to know them the hard way. And I know the good ones, the bad ones, the weak ones, the smart ones, the dumb ones. I know them all now. And the key, and we had great ones. I mean, economic development, we did so well. The military, we did fantastically well. We knocked out ISIS, 100% of the ISIS caliphate. We have some great people in the military, not the ones that you see on television.
The promise of Donald Trump in 2016 that he was giving out was that he would surround himself with the best people. Now, those best people, first of all, weren't great. Second of all, they didn't do the one thing that Donald Trump cared about most, which was be loyal to him. So, in that regard, some of the Trump officials who have now come out have condemned Donald Trump, have warned of the danger that he is. I don't want to give them full credit because they should have been doing more. So during the Trump administration, they should have been speaking on his dangers, then calling him out, then holding him accountable, then But this accusation that Donald Trump wants to levy, that everyone around him was out to get him, is just incredibly untrue when the reality of the matter is that they just saw how dangerous he was. And we can't not acknowledge that we have to continue to talk about it. And a group doing a great job is the Anti-Psychopath PAC, who, before we get into the rest of Trump's response to that question, I want to play an ad from them right here.
Hey, Donald.
Governor Chris Sununu called Trump crazy, but he's...
All your friends, all the people that have worked with you,
he's a very, very flawed man.
they all think you're nuts.
The man cannot tell the truth, but he combines it with being a narcissist.
He's a populist, authoritarian narcissist.
Donald Trump is not fit to be president of the United States.
Our country can't be a therapy session for a troubled man like that.
Governor Sununu called Trump crazy and said if he was in a mental institution, he wouldn't get out.
To turn over the nuclear codes of the United States to an erratic individual.
Serious character issues.
He constantly engages in reckless conduct.
He goes and he starts to say these wacky things.
But he's not fit to be president of the United States.
A consummate narcissist.
A narcissist at a level I don't think this country's ever
Donald
seen.
Trump's literally insane. And I think people are scared of him, and they should be scared of him.
Wholly unfit to be president of the United States in every way you can think of.
Trump clearly does not want to acknowledge the many Republicans in and out of his administration who have warned of just how crazy he is, just how dangerous he is. My favorite little bit of that clip of that ad that I think goes under the radar is Marco Rubio saying he doesn't trust Donald Trump with the nuclear codes. Now, he said that in 2015 and in 2016. But he has said it as well as recently as this year. Marco Rubio, who was on the short list to be Donald Trump's running mate, said he didn't trust him with the nuclear codes. Still, is that not everything we need to know in this election? Does that not just say it all? And it's just crazy to me that that is not convincing enough. But what would be, or what should be, is the rest of what Trump said here, because it is just ridiculous.
Great people. But a big key to running it is get the right people. You put the right person and the right group of people at the heads of these massive agencies, you're going to have tremendous success. And I know now the people, and I know them better than anybody would know them. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor.
So Trump's half answer to this question of what has changed about you, what have you learned? And really all he did to answer this question was kind of unravel and be angry and attack the people who have called him out, who have tried to hold him accountable. It wasn't really an answer. It was a non-answer. But what he tried to say is, oh, well, I'll have better people next time. Of course, not saying who those people are, because those people are the people who put together Project 2025, the most unpopular agenda in politics. And that should be dangerous to us all. That is something that we should all be incredibly afraid of. That, of course, Donald Trump's focus isn't to improve a next administration, should he win, but to make it an administration of a cult around him. But also, this clearly shoves Trump's inability to answer any questions, the root of the issue that I have with the mainstream media giving him credit for just responding when his responses mean nothing. And someone who called that out so well right here was P. Buttigieg.
Importantly, getting us a way forward on child care affordability. She has a plan for expanding the child tax credit, making sure that we have paid family leave in this country. Two things we would have right now if Republicans weren't blocking them. And as we saw when Donald Trump was asked about child care the other day, it wasn't clear whether he even understood the question.
Trump clearly doesn't know what he's talking about when he's answering these questions. And I think what we should say instead, and I'm going to hold myself to this, is that he's responding to questions because he's not answering them. Again, the question that he was asked about how he would make childcare more affordable, he didn't answer that question. He responded to it, and his response was just rambling nonsense. And so for the media to give him credit for that and say, Kamala Harris isn't talking about the specifics of her policy enough, which that's just not true, is the incredible double standard that we continue to see that we have to call out. And again, this is finally being called out more and more by Republicans. And of course, we saw Liz Liz Cheney, a prominent Republican, say that she would be supporting Kamala Harris, not just opposing Donald Trump. And that is incredibly momentous, but it's not just her supporting Kamala Harris, but she's also now calling out fellow Republicans. And she took a shot at Nikki Haley for lying really just on behalf of Trump. And I want to check that out.
Diminished. What do you make of Nikki Haley's position on that?
I mean, I can't understand her position on this in any kind of a principled way. I think that, you know, the things that she said, that she made clear when she was running in the primary, those things are true. And again, you know, those of us who are conservative, those of us who believe in fidelity to the Constitution, have a responsibility and have a duty to recognize this is not about partisan politics. And the country is going to need to rebuild true conservative movement when we're through this election cycle.
Donald Trump, but she won't come out and say it. But of course, we will on this show every single day. And if you want to support that effort, as always, you can hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video. If you're stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comment so I can like it, so I can say thank you. It really means a lot to me. And until next time, I'll see you soon.